Get started. Alright, welcome back to the Oval Podcast. We're here joined by Chase Holland. Um, Welcome,
What's going
Chase.
on, everybody? Glad to be here.
Yeah, we've been hoping to get him on for a while, and luckily we got him. I'm not even using the right mic, it's whatever. Won't change too much. Which I could switch real quick. Let me do that. Won't take too long, just put that here. Switch over real quick. Should take me just a second. Um, well, so we've been wanting to get you on here for a while, and we finally did. We're real happy to get you on here. Here, okay. How's the audio on your end? Like this?
How loud do I want to be? I mean, that's really up to you, buddy.
Um, holiday. Alright, but yeah, we've been wanting to get you on for a while. And we finally got you. So, it gets hard. Um, Chase, how'd you start out in racing?
Well, I'm a third generation racer. My papa raced, and then my dad got into it. And whenever I was born, I grew up around racing because my dad was building street stock chassis and stuff like that. Um, and then from there, got my first go kart. We had some amusement park go karts. Whenever whenever I was like 3 or 4 that my dad got, and I used to race with my uncle and my dad's friends and my dad and stuff like that. My grandparents, they would all come ride these go karts with us, and that's where it kind of started. And then whenever I was 4, my dad bought me an actual racing go kart, and it wasn't until I was 5 that I started kart racing. So it's kind of where my number came from, and that the rest is history, I reckon.
Yeah, uh, uh, well, I know you're excited about your late model coming up, because that's big for you. Uh,
Yes, sir.
you've ran, what all cars have you ran?
I've ran flat carts, champ carts, bandoleros, modified, street stocks. I have ran a crate late model before,
Yeah,
and I think that's about it.
yeah, if you know, you know. I saw that one. Um, who are some people you look up to?
I mean, I look up to I would say Kyle Larson's one of the biggest guys that I look up to.
Yeah,
Jimmy Mars is another guy that I really respect, and he's taught me a lot. Um, and then on a local level, Noah Daspit's been really beneficial to my career. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, what's some of what's your favorite track you've been at, or just in general?
I think that's kind of a difficult question to answer because we go to so many different places throughout the year that it's hard to really say that I have a favorite. But on a local level, I would say that Why Not Motorsports Park has got to be my favorite track. It's been really good to me. I've won probably the most money there on a local level, and then I would say on a national level, like I really enjoyed Kokomo. Like Kokomo was probably one of the best places I had gotten to race at in a long time. So so yeah, and I mean there's several places. Like I can't really pick a favorite. Adams County's been really cool to race at. On the American Racer Tire stuff, Cedar Lake's really awesome. I love going there. So difficult question to answer. Too many favorites.
Yeah, a few of my friends are out of Indiana. One is right there in Kokomo, which he didn't get to come to that race, and then one came to the one where you went to Putnamville or Lincoln Park, I think it is.
Yep.
I,
Yep. I really like Putnamville too. Lincoln was really good to us. We'll be back there sometime this year as well.
yeah, they all call it Rutnamville, but some might say it's bad, but yeah. I should have written down questions. What do you think's the most interesting type of race car?
Um, I would say the modified's most interesting. I think the late model stuff's gotten kind of out of hand. I think everything's so technology dependent that I don't think it's. I think kind of like the NASCAR stuff's trickled into it to where big teams and big corporations are kind of overtaking the late model world. But as far as like the most interesting, I think the modifieds. Uh, it's basic but complex. So like a lot of the stuff that the late model guys do trickles down into the modifieds, and it just it's like I said, basic but complex. Like you can do be as simple as you want to be, or you can be as complex as you want to be. So
Yeah, definitely. We know you enjoyed running last year with all the races you did, but we know if you've heard from the TikTok lives and whatnot, it ran y'all kind of dry money, but
yeah, so that was USMTS, and
yeah,
we ran close to 20 nights of USMTS racing, and it it wasn't very fun. Like I kind of dreaded racing that series. It made me a better driver because obviously we were racing with the best guys in the country, but it became very taxing mentally and physically, and just it wasn't enjoyable. It was very expensive to race in that series, and if
yeah,
like the way the payout worked, we weren't fast
yeah,
enough to run in the top 10 where the money actually was. So like it was very dependent that start money, like the first night he was running 3 nights at each track. So like you had to make the show the first night and the second night and place really good in the third night in order to, like, if you started the show Thursday and Friday night, you broke even, and then Saturday night, that was where you made your money if you were fortunate enough to make the A main, and that was, like I said, it was very difficult. And then you can only sell the same T-shirt to the same people so many times. So we ran into a problem where we were shaking the same hands, and I was very fortunate to see these loyal people, but at the same time, there were no new faces in the series. It just and the series hosts didn't really care if we were there or not, so we uh, we decided to do our own thing.
yeah. It was definitely the best, and it's probably a good thing because you went on to win a few local shows and get out a little bit more, and definitely get some more experience. What are some of the biggest challenges you face as a dirt track racer, both on and off track?
Well, I think I think the biggest challenge that we face day in and day out is like, and what I don't comprehend is like how a local guy races any more competitively with how, I wouldn't say it's out of hand. Like I love competition. I'm a very competitive person, but like I race full time. Like I work on my race cars 5 6 days a week, and we race however many nights a week. And I would say the most difficult thing is preparation. Like we spend more time preparing these cars than we actually do reaping the benefits from them. And I don't know how a guy can do that working a regular job, because I know how hard it is on our crew to get our equipment ready to compete on a national level. I would say on a regional level it's a little bit easier, but running on a national level, I would say equipment preparation is the hardest thing off the track. And then on the track, the hardest thing I would say is like I want to win no matter where we go and who we race, and sometimes it's a near impossible thing when you're racing against guys that are veterans in the sport with um I wouldn't say unlimited funding, because I wouldn't word it like that, because I'm blessed and fortunate enough to have really good sponsors that allow me to do what I'm doing. But compared to some of the guys that we race against, like their budgets are insane. So I would say the hardest thing on the racetrack is just the competition.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. What are some tracks you'd like to get out to and venture out to sometime?
um, I don't know. I think there's a lot of places that we didn't know about in the Midwest, like Brownstown and Indiana. You know, there's Gas City. There's a bunch of places in Indiana. There's a bunch of places in Illinois that we didn't get to race. Like there's a Lincoln City or Lincoln Park. There's a Red Hill Raceway. You name it. There's tons of tracks in the Midwest that are constantly racing right on top of each other within a 2.5 hour radius that we would love to go to. Eldora in Ohio, Atomic in Ohio. I'm pretty sure it's in Ohio. There's another
Wow.
track, Waynesboro or something like that.
Wayne County, probably in Ohio.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Bunch of stuff in Ohio. You know, like the Midwest region right there. Like really looking forward to coming in and racing at a bunch of those shows. And then on the East Coast, like we found out as we looked at the East Coast more and more, like there's not really as much mod racing going on there. But in Central America, like Tennessee and Kentucky, there's a bunch of stuff that we haven't tapped into, and that's our goal this year is to run 100 nights. But in order to run 100 nights, like you have to be racing at least 3 nights a week, and that's our intentions. Is we're going to race 3 nights a week all across the country, and we may be in Tennessee and Kentucky 1 and 2 nights, and then the third night you'll see us at Adams County in Quincy, Illinois. You know, we're gonna travel, and even to the western side of the country. Like we look forward to going out west. Like there's no set schedule. We're just racing wherever the gates are open.
Yeah. And one thing about the modifieds is very interesting with all the different sanctions and whatnot, which makes it fun. But and what are the cheaper ones? Well, I think all of them are about equal, and everything's pretty much just expensive nowadays, which sucks for the racing world. I like to say something real quick to the people watching. If y'all have any questions to ask Chase or me, because obviously we can do whatever I do at every podcast. Have them ask me some. We'll do that later. But if you have any questions for Chase or me, feel free to put them in the chat. But as for that, how do you prepare for a race both mentally and physically?
Um, I would say mentally, like I listen to a lot of not appropriate for public music. I love to listen to a variety of music from like, just regular country like Cody Johnson and stuff, all the
Yeah.
way to, Kid Rock and everything in between that. Some rock music, rap music, stuff like that. Like that's how I
Yeah.
get locked in is by listening to music. And then as far as physically, like I don't really do anything physically to get locked in for a race. So
Yeah. Um. Uh. Let's move on to kind of an iRacing thing for a minute. How does iRacing help you prepare for anything in any way?
I would say so. I think iRacing kind of helps with hand-eye coordination, especially when I race with my crew guy Mikey. Like he keeps me on my toes because we're constantly wrecking each other, and I know it seems goofy, but like it helps us to kind of look ahead and make sure nothing's happening that you can avoid a lot more wrecks and stuff. So I would say it helps with that. And then there's a lot of times that we get in races with kind of professional guys on iRacing, and that certainly helps.
Oop, did we lose you? Think we lost you, Chase.
You
Nope, cutting out. You there? One moment, Chase. Chase cut out.
helps that.
You there, Chase? Yep, he's cutting out a bunch.
Me,
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. think something's going on your end.
That stuff should be good now. Should
Yeah,
be fine.
it's good now. Yeah. I think you cut out like midway through.
Gotcha.
But we heard the first part, which I feel like was kind of enough to give. What setup shop you run on there? You make your own or?
I run CFM sets.
Yes,
I
sir.
pay for CFM sets.
Yeah. Yeah, CFM on top. I had iRacing, but I never got to really get a good run since I didn't even get my wheel set up, but I'm getting it here soon, so we'll have to run together.
Right on.
How do you and your team make decisions about strategy and car setup during a race?
Well, that kind of causes arguments at times, but ultimately my dad and I make decisions. But when we can't make decisions, I call Jimmy Mars, our chassis builder, and he solidifies some of those decisions we make or deters us from the bad decisions we would have made. So I think that's a major help. I think ultimately the ways that we make decisions is through ourselves and what we see through our videos and what I feel, and then obviously whatever Jimmy Mars has to say about the situation.
Yeah, for sure. Um, let's see here. I got a list here I've used over and over again, but there's good questions. What advice would you give to someone who's just getting started in dirt track racing?
Well, and I don't mean this in any like I'm not trying to deter you from getting into racing, but what I will say is it's a very competitive sport, more competitive than anything else, any other sport that you will compete in. Um, and it combines a lot of physical and mental aspects that other sports don't have, other elements. So, in order for you to be able to learn and grow in the sport and not get frustrated, I say that you need to figure out which class you can afford and you need to buy new. You do not need to buy something used to start out with because just from our experience, like we bought a used modified and we ended up spending X to get it turnkey and ready to race, and then spent X again to upgrade and to upgrade and to upgrade. When if we would have went and bought new equipment starting out, we wouldn't have had to spend so much money throughout the course. It would have been cheaper. So my recommendation to anybody starting out is find the class you can afford and buy new.
Yeah. Um. I want to get. I have this question in. I've asked it. I think every time. What's your favorite food? Get that one out there every single time.
I think it changes by the day, really. Like sometimes it's pizza, sometimes it's steak. Uh, I'm not. I eat chicken, like I like chicken, but also I think Bojangles chicken's really like chicken that I like. Other than that, like salad, that's probably the top things for me.
Yeah, for sure. Um. Yeah. Charlie Method said good old Mexican. I think if I remember correctly. We're gonna have to go back and watch that one. That one was funny. We got him to do his famous thing that he did at Gateway. He did a few funny things there.
Yeah.
Let's see. What have I not said? Let's go down here. Can you share any exciting plans or upcoming events that you have on the horizon for your racing career?
So I think the biggest things this week we've been doing a lot more lives on TikTok, and we plan to do that consistently. So you can follow us on TikTok at Chase Holland Racing and catch our live feeds on there where we're very blunt with everyone and realistic, and we share a different side than we normally are able to. And then as far as that goes, like I have a podcast this Friday night with uh, Vincent at Salt Pepper Oak, and he will be co-hosting through Brown Water Banter. So I've got a podcast with those guys that you can tune into, and then from there, I also have we've got our late model program. I got picked up by Nicest Motorsports, which also owns Talon Willis Racing's late model program. So really neat stuff there. Within that, that's allowed us to meet a couple of different people, and it's been really neat. Looking forward to that. We're going to run some crate stuff this year. Our late models crate. So that, and then we've got our other modified up at Jimmy Mars's shop right now, and it got reclipped, and Jimmy changed a bunch of stuff to ensure that we had probably just quite frankly one of the most badass modifieds in the country. Is just the best way to explain it. So I'm really excited to run that car, and excited to see how it'll perform on a national level. So that's the biggest things.
Yeah. Did we lose you again? Or did you just end it there? I think we lost you again, Chase.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Yeah, so that's definitely the TikTok's helping, and especially you got uh Salt Pepper Oak, Vincent. I think he was the one that got up there the other day and started telling you what kind of to do during the lives and
Mm,
whatnot.
right.
We got you up to 35th that day, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it was awesome.
Which was also early in the day. Then
Right.
I think yesterday you ain't getting nowhere, but that was definitely fun. And then I think that would help you. He definitely talks back a lot with the chat, unlike most people. But what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in dirt track racing over the years, and how have they affected the sport?
I just think that technology affects everything in the sport. I think within NASCAR's sinking ship, I think you've got a lot of the NASCAR oriented people coming into the dirt track racing scene, and within that, you have an upbringing of a different style of technology, which I think the NASCAR stuff's trickling into dirt to where um, I think it's more setup and car oriented than it is driver oriented. And we've seen that in NASCAR, and like I said, I think in dirt, it's becoming more who you know and what do they know than it is, just your good old boys racing and the best driver wins. Like I think you can take a mediocre driver and put him in a really really well set up race car, and I think I think you can win races, and that's not what it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, even. So
Yeah, um, definitely a lot of changes. It's gotten money has just been crazy with everything going on, but like I said, has pretty much ruined the sport because some people can't even afford a meal. Which we got some new series coming in that are trying to make it cheap for people, doing cheaper things like that one series.
right.
And yeah, um, how do you stay up to date on the latest developments within dirt track racing, such as new technology or rule changes?
Well, I think the easiest way is you pay for it, or you start beating the bushes down and becoming friends with the intelligent guys. Like I said, I'm very fortunate that the social media side has opened me up to people that I never would have met, and within that, like those guys have kept me really tight in the technology band. One of them being Tom Berry Jr. Tom reached out to me and is helping my program out, and I've seen a difference already within that. And Jimmy Mars and his guys are constantly ahead of time on their stuff. So I think the easiest way to go about it is, like I said, you ultimately have to pay for it nowadays. Speed, cost, how fast do you want to go?
Yeah. Ooh, same thing, or did we lose you?
I'm here.
Okay. Sometimes it sounds like it just kind of dies out. Uh, yeah, for sure. We're supposed to get him on here, Tom, but
Yeah.
we've been trying to get him. We'll get him on here eventually, though. But he also gets to do a lot of racing because he can catch on for sure. What's your favorite thing to do when you're not racing?
Um, I've developed a passion for like fishing and boating. Like I went and bought a boat, and I think that's kind of become something for me to relax away from racing is to go out on the boat when it's not broke down, obviously. But that I've always loved to fish, but I mean it's not. I enjoy being out on the water, so I think that's kind of a getaway from everything. I've never really been big into hunting or anything like that, so the boating's relaxing to me.
Yeah, I'm a big time hunter, but yeah, there's a lot of different things, and that's good one, cause I mean I love fishing, uh, and a lot of people do, but what's one of the craziest things that's ever happened to you at a track?
Um, I don't know. I don't really know. I think there's been a lot of crazy things happen to me at a racetrack. I mean, I've won some things really crazy ways. I've been wrecked uh, by people and gotten into confrontations with them and stuff like that. Like I can't really name a specific like crazy thing off the top of my head
Yeah,
that's happened. Um,
yeah.
so
I know there's one time they wouldn't like let you take your four-wheeler somewhere on the track
yeah,
or whatever, or not on the track, but to like go to your RV or something, and then that one where they DQ'd like half the top five except for the dude that was leading points or whatever.
yeah. I guess that would be one of the wildest things that's ever happened to me. Like I've got a USMTS car, and to people that may not be oriented in that series, like they've got a very thorough tech man that texts us week in and week out. So like my car has to be legal, and we ensure that. Like I said, week in and week out as our job. And we go to this local show with a bounty on this guy, and our right rear deck is an inch too high on the right side after the race has been over for 30 or 45 minutes, and like I said, the right rear deck was too high, so it was nuts. But
Yeah, for sure. That was it's one thing I had to think. I was like, because I know I kind of get confused trying to like remember if it was you or Tim Nash over at old number 7, because both document that stuff, and I have to think. I was like, is that you or him? But I know most of it is you. But we kind of did this. But what's a good snack to eat like before or after a race, or in between, kind of?
cheeseburger and fries.
There it is, dude. Yeah, that's a good one. Um, if you weren't a dirt track racer, what other career would you be interested in pursuing?
If I wasn't a dirt track racer, mm, I don't know. Like I went to college to be a CNC machinist, and at some point in my life, like I'd like to do some general things surrounding that, but I would say like sports wise, before I started hot and heavy in racing, I was a cross country runner and was going to. I moved to a public school so that I could be a track and field guy, and anyways, racing kind of overtook that. But I probably would have been doing some running in college, but that didn't work out. And then, like I said, this CNC machining and stuff always intrigued me. But fortunately, I get to do this.
Yeah, and it's definitely got you a lot of followers and people who love you, which is one good thing. So
Right.
for about, I'd say midway from what I usually, for what I usually do. Any questions you'd like to ask me?
So you said you were 11, huh?
Yes, sir.
How long have you what's your local racetrack?
Beckley Motor Speedway,
Okay.
Beckley, West Virginia.
Right on. On.
Yeah.
Um, any plans to race?
I've ran 3 races in the I can't speak, mini wedge last year. Um,
Right on.
I never obviously won anything. Probably gonna get in it real good this year. Um, we finished. We hit a tire on the last lap in the first one. I'm pretty famous for that. If you know me, you know me. That's what I'm famous for. People come around all the time asking me, "You were the kid that hit the tire, whatnot." Pretty famous for that one now. Uh, Definitely knocked the car loose. There's a YouTube video, and you hear it, and you just hear the crowd go, "Oh!" But the track was so ruddy, my arm just got tired, and I couldn't do anything because the car caught the berm, and it just yanked me to the tire. Uh,
Hmm.
Second one, I'm not gonna talk about that one. I just hated the track that night, and something wasn't like feeling right, and so I ended up a lap down. And but the third night, I had an amazing night. I was having my favorite night. Not exactly speed-wise. I was still in the back, but I was having tons of fun. I was pretty much driving away from the wrecks in my heat race. Uh, like off a four, they'd all loop, and I'd get like caught, and I'd get sideways, but I'd drive off. But in the feature, we couldn't get a lap in on a restart. We went into 1 and 2, and a kid practically straight lined me and just destroyed me.
Well, dang.
Yeah, and it sucked. But hoping to get back into it. And I think if I remember Friday now, they had a big old water hole in the middle of the track, or like going in a turn one on the front straightaway, and it just sucked. Time you hit, the car just slide.
Right.
Horrible, but yeah. Anything else, or move back to you?
That's all I can think of right now.
Alright. Well, how do you balance risks? I cannot speak to save my life. How do you balance the risks of dirt track racing with the rewards of competing at a high level?
Um, I mean, it's not really. I'd say we've got really good safety equipment, and we're in really good equipment, and all of our like everybody's equipment on a national level is probably safer than riding in a standard vehicle. So I don't really think there's much of a risk to be taken on in that aspect of it. But I do think, as far as wrecking your equipment, like there's nights that I could have been or should have been more aggressive than I actually was, but in fear of having to pay for something or fix something, that kind of it's tough to balance that side of it for the risk of winning the race and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad
yeah,
technology has gained a good, obviously good safety and whatnot.
right.
So where we can even be racing and be safe every night, which is an amazing thing. But let's see here. Can you discuss the different types of dirt racetracks that you have raced on and how you adapt your driving style to each one?
Well, I would say down here, like our tracks have a lot of sand in them, and within that, like um, the tracks form a black ring, and your cars need to be relatively free down south because when it stays pretty tacked up the whole night. But when we go out on the road, like we race on more of rocky surfaces and hard clay racetracks where the tracks get really, really slick and slippery. So we have to be a lot more. Our cars have to be a lot tighter when we're out on the road than they are at home, and that's where we kind of struggle because we're used to having really, really free race cars, and then when we go out on a national level, we race on a lot more of a slick surface that requires us to tighten our equipment up.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely different in areas, and you get to find a lot of different surfaces as you're trying to run every like a race in every state you can reach this year, if I'm correct.
Right. Yep.
And if you get lucky, hopefully you can come my way a little bit. But
Yeah, no doubt.
um, yeah, there's a lot of good tracks, a lot of bad tracks.
Right.
Think the farthest my dad has been was Pikeville, Mississippi. He almost flipped. He biked up real big, and then he went to the back. Otherwise, he probably would have had a chance at winning it, because hit was so hard, knocked his receiver out, and he didn't hear them say he could have his spot back. But
Who was that?
my dad.
Oh. Hmm.
Let's see here. uh, what's your favorite movie or TV show, and why do you enjoy it?
So, here recently, we Haley and I went to the movies and saw The Beekeeper, and I highly recommend anybody go and watch that movie. Like, it was a jam up movie. It was just full of action and stuff like that. But as far as TV shows, like I used to watch The Walking Dead, but here lately, like I rarely have time to watch any TV. So
Yeah, for sure. Um, Most of the time I just toss on, or I don't really watch any TV besides like racing, of course. And
right,
I'll watch some shows here and there, but most of the time it's Fridays, Saturdays, and if I get lucky, I'll catch an outlaw or some other race during the week and watch it. That's about all I watch TV
right,
wise, but I'll sit down and watch a movie here and there. I like the Good Burger movies. Some things are so funny.
right.
I don't know if you've seen them, but first and
No,
second one both good.
no, I haven't seen those, but I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, funny and good.
Hmm.
Let's see. Let's see. I'm running out of questions. I can't remember. Holy cow. What are some common misconceptions about dirt track racing that you would like to clear up?
I don't know. I don't really have. I don't. Nothing comes to mind for me, really.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I'd have to think on that one.
Yeah. Looking ahead, what are your goals for your career in the future?
Just to be able to race for a living and it be financially supported by, fully funded by sponsorship and social media.
Yeah.
So that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, you've been at it for a while now, and it's doing you well.
It is for sure.
Yeah, just keep doing it, and you'll be good. I could see you running Outlaws full time with the late model one of these days. Or
I hope you're right.
even USMTS full time to where you can actually compete.
Right, maybe so.
But yeah. What do you think are the most important skills and qualities that a successful dirt track racer needs to have?
I think I think you have to be, I think, really aggressive. Like I think you have to get in a mindset of it's just a pile of metal. I think I think that's the biggest thing is like being able to mentally lock in and say that, you know, don't care about your equipment when it's time to go racing. And I think being able to lose humbly and win humbly is definitely a huge thing, huge factor. Um, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah. um, I think they definitely need to have some skill to get behind the wheel. But what? How's Mikey doing in the rap world? I know. I think he's just kind of getting. He's producing good artwork.
Mikey's getting better and better by the day. Mikey's very impressive behind a computer.
Yeah.
Um, steadily growing in business. Like everything's doing well on Mikey's side on in that department.
Yeah, for sure. If you get a chance, I've got a few Discord servers with some of the top dog designers I could get them in as
Right
a
on.
designer. So I could send you those and you could get those to him after here. But let's see. Hmm. How do you deal with setbacks or disappointments in racing, such as crashes or mechanical failures?
Um, it's definitely hard. Like I don't really know how because I don't really have a really good coping mechanism. I get very frustrated with it all, and I would just say the biggest thing to do is to decompress away from people. Like when when I'm having those issues, it's very difficult for me to talk to fans and interact with fans because they want to ask what happened and why I did what I did or why things are the way that they are. And I think I think the biggest thing is just being able to take yourself away from those issues and get in a back to a normal headspace and just hope for better days. Look forward to something better.
Yeah, for sure. Um, moving on kind of to the outside of different of other racing besides just questioning you. Who do you think people are gonna need to watch out for this season? And out of every class, obviously.
I think
Late models,
I,
modifieds, sprint cars, whatever you want.
well, I think in the mod program, like we've got a lot of good things coming, so I would say keep a lookout for our deal. I think we're going to be very successful. But in the late model stuff, I would say Sam Mars has become the house car driver for MB Customs, and I think there's a lot of room for growth and development right there. I think that's going to be really, really good for the whole aspect of what they have going right there. So I think in the late model stuff, he's definitely one to watch out for. And then I would say Tyler Erb. Like I'm a huge Tyler Erb fan, and I would say that Tyler's definitely somebody to keep an eye on. He's consistently in contingent for the win wherever he's at. So
Yeah. Um, any thoughts on just the upcoming season? Anything? Any series on you? Anything?
like my thoughts on any series.
Yeah. Just everything coming up racing world or anything really.
Well, I personally am avoiding all series races.
Yeah.
Like obviously we'll go and race with the series here and there, but I'm not gonna be consistent with any of them. And as far as watching a series, like um, I would say they're all across the board as far as for good racing, good quality racing. Like some of the UMP shows are really good. Some of the USMTS shows are really good. I think when the USMTS stuff gets on bigger racetracks, it gets relatively boring to watch. And the same is true for the late model stuff. I think the smaller stuff, whenever the Hell Tour starts in the summertime, I think that's some of the best racing that gets produced.
Yeah. Uh, Southern National's definitely a good thing, and I'm excited to watch it every year. Although I miss good old Nick Kaufman running it, the modified portion in it.
Right.
He definitely was entertainment all the time. But I believe this season he'll be getting back into his own modified a few times this year. I think. Based
Yeah, I
off
could
what
see
I'm
that.
hearing, since he'll still be chasing championship, of course. But well, that's about it. Any questions from me? Anybody?
Um, I don't really have anything right now. I think it's really impressive that you at 11 years old are stepping out and doing this podcast stuff.
Yeah.
It's definitely not something you see common
Yeah.
in today's world. So
Yeah.
really neat.
Yeah. I'm also a graphic designer, so.
Right on. Right on.
If Mikey
It's really
needs
neat.
any help with anything, I can help Mikey. I'll get him the servers, of course, through you. But well, that's about it for this one. Chase, or uh, thank you for coming on, and yeah.
Anytime, buddy. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. We'll probably have to get you back on in a year or so. Who knows? Talk about your passy or whatnot. But yeah. Thank you for
Nope.
getting on, and we'll see y'all later. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
You're welcome.